Welcome, everybody, to Catfish Weekly, presented by Whisker Wear Apparel, along with Chuck Davison and Doc Lang. I'm Lyle Stokes, and boy, do we have a good one for you tonight. We have been in Memphis, Tennessee for the last week at the Mississippi River Monsters Tournament, and we had a blast. Fishing was fairly good. There were some giant fish caught, and everybody had a good time. But before we get in, Jason and Darrell will be along with us in a few minutes. They're running just a little bit late. But before we go getting into the tournament stuff, Doc has got a couple of new guests in there. We want to visit with these gentlemen for just a second. Take her away, Doc.
All righty. Thank you. Everybody, this is my two grandkids I've got here. Both these guys have fished quite a few tournaments with me, and these guys are going to be the future of catfishing. So, what do you want to say? Want to say anything to them? Say hi. Just say hi.
Hello.
Hello. This is Brandon, and this is Zach.
That's cool. Where's Josh? Is Josh not along with them tonight?
No, Josh isn't here with them, no.
Well, Josh was about that size the last time I saw him, and he is considerably bigger than that now.
Yeah, I got to look up to him, and I'm a pretty big guy anyway. So, but these guys caught a lot of fish up in Indian Lake. We were fishing a 3-day tournament, channel cats, and they were on some nice fish. They had a good time. That's
awesome. It's nothing better than to see a bunch of youngsters enjoying our sport like they do. And I know Chuck had a youngster with him here a while back, and then we need to keep these kids interested in our sport. And I'm waiting for my grandkids to get the urge to go, and we'll have them. We've taken Damien to a couple of tournaments, and they'll all get in with it, and we'll make it happen here one of these days.
Yeah. So hopefully when they get old enough, then they'll be taking Papaw instead of me taking them.
Well, that's the idea behind it. We'll get in there, and one of them can haul you around. We'll get one to haul me around, one to haul Chuck around, and we'll just sit there and tell them how to catch fish.
That's right.
That's awesome. Where do you boys like to fish at the best?
Ohio River. Ohio River.
Ohio River.
Yep, they're river. They like fishing on the river.
Me too. I'll tell you, I'd much rather fish on a river any day than a lake. Some people are not like that, but them rivers has got a lot of action, don't they, boys?
Yeah.
They like chasing flatheads.
Well,
they're like their grandpa. They like chasing flatheads.
Now you guys know that them flatheads are the king of catfish, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You got anything for them, Chuck?
Yeah. What kind of fishing poles you like to use?
Tell them Black Horse.
Black Horse.
I like them.
Right.
They're all right.
Yeah, I let them use the Black Horse. They won't drop them in the water. At least they haven't yet. Unlike Grandpa, who almost lost one this weekend. These guys have never come close to losing one of my Black Horses.
We'll have to get into that here in a little bit later, but you know, we had a lot of fun over the last few days.
Yes, we did. A lot of fun. But it was hot. Man, it was hot.
It was miserable. Chuck, you brought Tony down there with you to the tournament, and that is a great guy. You really done good getting him as a tournament partner. He's a swell guy. I just think the world of him.
Yeah, man. He's done a lot for our country over the past 25 years. Had some real bad turns in Afghanistan. He's now retired, and now it's time to fish. So, I feel like that I owe it to him to make every trip that he's able to go the best as possible. Even if we don't put a fish in the boat, we're going to have a great time.
That's exactly right. I'm so proud to get to meet him. He's just an outstanding guy, a great fisherman in his own right. And like you say, he's done so much for all of us. It's time that he sit back and catch a few fish and enjoy life.
That's right.
We was at the bar the other night eating dinner, and got to meet another military gentleman, and I was proud to shake his hand. He happened to be the guy that caught the big fish of the tournament, and I just thought that was outstanding. Teresa Owensby's dad, very nice gentleman, and with his fatigues on in the bar, and I just, there's something about that really gets to me, and I can't help it. But the guy has been in the military a long time, served our country, done a wonderful job, and if anybody deserved to catch the big fish of that tournament, he's the guy that should have caught it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a hog of fish too.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get a replica of it, and I'm sure that's going to be a real thrill being able to look at that fish every day for the rest of his life.
I'm trying to get up the chat on YouTube. I haven't been able to get it up yet.
Okay, I'll work on that here in a little bit. But Bill Parfit caught a 90-pound blue down there, just a giant of a fish. But he caught it the day or two before the tournament, and it's now in the aquarium at Bass Pro. They quarantined it, of course, for a little bit, but another outstanding effort. Bill done a great job getting that fish in, and it'll be treated like royalty for the rest of its life in that aquarium. They did get fed 3 times a day and put to bed at night. I mean, they really take care of them fish down there. So I'm glad for Bill. That I'm sure that's the biggest blue that he's ever caught, and it's just a stud of a fish.
Yeah, it was. And I think he caught a couple of 60s throughout the week.
I think so too. Yeah, he was. Some of that was kind of hush hush, and that's how it's supposed to be. But before we get into Darrell and Jason and all the other stuff, I want to commend George and Leslie, all the people involved with that tournament, for the very first tournament that them people had ever done. 84 boats on the water with no more problems than was had. I thought they done an outstanding job.
Yeah, I don't think there was very few hiccups.
No, there wasn't too many. There always is. Even on a well-oiled machine, you have a hiccup once in a while. And to be their first time, I can't say enough about how they done their job and made it happen, and it come off really well. And I'm looking forward right now to next year. And if they would let me enter right now, I would just go ahead and do it and be ready to roll.
Yeah.
There's one other thing that we need to talk about too that pertains to this tournament. We all stayed at the Clarion Motel down there, the Clarion Hotel and Convention Center, and I, honest to God, don't believe I've ever stayed, as long as we've been tournament fishing all over the United States, stayed at a place that took better care of the people. They fixed meals for breakfast that is unheard of in hotel and motel breakfasts that they give away. Whatever it took to make people happy, they made it happen. They had security. You didn't have to worry about your boat. You didn't have to worry about your truck. And everybody says, oh, it's in a bad end of town. It didn't. I mean, it may look a little rough, but there was nothing that I know of that went wrong down there. Angela Herndon done a bang-up job making sure everybody had power. If it needed to be through a generator or whatever, and everybody shared their electricity, and the rooms was nice and clean, and if you needed something, you told them. They took care of it. The little girl that cleaned our rooms took extremely good care of us, and like I say, I can't think of a place I've ever stayed since we've been doing tournaments that took better care of us than what they did down there.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. A shout out to Nona. She was the cook that got up at 1 a.m. in the morning and made grab bags for everybody the day of the tournament. So she had gotten up there and she wanted to make sure everybody had like a fruit, vegetable, muffin. You know, there was something that you could grab and run.
Yep, yep.
So,
Orange juice and coffee and cereal and like I say, a hot bar. And Chuck, I can't believe you didn't eat no more of that, and you did. I watched you eat a couple of times. You eat like a bird, man. How you ever going to grow up to be one of the big boys?
Well, for breakfast.
For anything.
Oh, well, yeah, it all depends on how I was feeling, man. I really felt bad a couple of times. The sinuses and the medicine I'm taking, I just ate enough to make sure my medicine did right. And when me and Tony was back and forth to the river, we ate. If we ate at the bar after, we usually had already ate prior to going down there. So,
Speaking of the bar, that Double J bar and restaurant, Doc and I ate there nearly every day. I think we did eat there every day. And it didn't matter if you was having steaks or if you was having shrimp or what it was excellent.
those ribs were to die for.
I never had ribs that was any better anywhere than those was. The only thing I see wrong with them is that I either ate them too fast or I could have used some more of them.
Yeah.
It was the whole thing just went off really well for us and up until Sunday and I thought it was a great time. I will stay at that motel hands down.
Hi.
See ya. Hands down, no questions asked. I know that I'll be well taken care of. I know the food's going to be good and like I say, I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, they're going to have repeat. They'll be using those guys again. They really, did more than was asked. So if they don't use them again next year, that means they just got some big deal that they could not turn down.
Right.
But that they did outstanding. They deserve to be the host hotel again, which will probably need multiple host hotels.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there'll be one of them. How much were those rooms at the Bass Pro Shop? Did you hear anybody talk about staying in one of those rooms?
I did not. I'm trying to help Darrell and Jason. You guys go ahead.
No, I don't know how much they were, Chuck. I know, Jeff Dodd and
was so
Swamp,
awesome.
they stayed there.
Who did?
Jeff Dodd and Swamp, they stayed there.
Yeah, now I'm not sure if Jason Jackson and them stayed there or not, but their boat was there a couple of times we went down there. But I mean, it was, being up in the atrium and looking down onto the Bass Pro Shop and the ponds and everything from your room, and then from the outside, you can look out over the city. So you got a view when you walk out your door in the atrium and looking out over the city. I mean, if it was one of those places or one of the times where you wanted to do it upright and spend a little bit of money, that would be really a good place to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah. So, but that place was it was nothing but awesome. When Lyle and I did that show in there on Monday night, it was wow. What we do, lose the audio on Lyle?
No, he's concentrating, trying to help the Masingales get in. Well, did y'all get close to one of them river boats?
What, the paddle boats?
Yeah. The paddle boats.
The stern wheelers?
Yeah.
The one was docked for a couple days while we were out there. I think on the day one, we were coming to the bridge, and one of them was going across the river from the Tennessee side, the Arkansas side.
Yeah, I got up really close to one called the Island Queen,
Yeah, that's the one we seen.
and she was right there. We stayed with her for probably 30 minutes. We didn't get close enough where it was dangerous or anything, but we could wave back and forth to the guys riding on it. And that's one of the most beautiful boats I've ever seen in my life. I got some really good pictures of it. But it's just little things like that that made the trip just so much more memorable.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that and the fast water. I mean, on Monday when we got there, on Tuesday when we got out there, uh, man, it was just ripping down through there. And by the end of the week, the water had settled way down. Mississippi's always cranking anyway, but boy, there on Monday and Tuesday, it was really. That one time we were out there, it was like 7.5 mile an hour current.
Yeah, we it seemed like that. I think it was on Thursday. It didn't. It wasn't as bad as Friday and Saturday. I think the rain that hit up in the Ohio area the week before finally made it down there.
Yeah,
But it's so weird. There's so many different tributaries and rivers that run off in it. It takes sometimes a week for the water to get down there. And it can rain in so many different parts of the United States and affect that river that you never know how it's going to be. You'd have to do some very serious research and to know how exactly it was going to be.
yeah. No. But I had a great time with Lyle and Cindy fishing out of that monster cat boat. Man, that thing's huge. We
Yeah,
got down there. Lyle put me under the wheel, and he goes, "Do something with this Lowrance." I can see why he was ready to throw it out into the water. it was all messed up. So it took me about half an hour, and boy, we got some good images off of it. Some really, really nice images. I about shocked when we come around this one bend, and we were back bouncing, and I felt the weight just kind of go, and whoa. There's a little bit of ledge there, and we were in 35 foot of water, and we watched it drop to 120 feet. I don't think I'm going to bounce that far down.
You wasn't smoking that spool, letting that lead get down.
No. So.
I mean, that was the hardest thing for me was, pre-fishing. We was marking some really good returns out in the middle of the river on them drop-offs. And being in that heavy current, and bouncing, I know we was bouncing over those fish because, I know that lead wasn't just dropping straight down on them.
Yeah.
And they were pretty close to the ledge, so you'd have had to about get straight on top of them with a big motor until your GPS read 0, and we was putting 24 ounces on it and trying to drop straight down on that fish, and it was still taking our line downriver. So we wasn't able to drop straight down on them with 24 ounces.
Yeah. Wow.
But we was trying to figure out everything we could because we knew that those fish had to have been up against current breaks, up against those ledges and stuff, using them for brakes so they would be out of the current. And to be able to get down there to them, you had to drop through that current to get to them. And by the time you got down to that top of that ledge, you was already, washed away. We just never could figure out how to fish for those fish like that. We would try to bounce out on them, and then all of a sudden you'd just, lose bottom, and I'd smoke that reel spool trying to get that line off there as fast as I could. And I know I hit 100 yards past it, but I don't know. I'll figure it out somehow. I mean, it's like you'd have to put a leader line off your anchor and drop your anchor straight down, which I still don't think that's possible, because when we would throw our anchor out, it would pass the boat. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
um,
We lost one anchor. Almost
yeah,
lost the ball.
yeah.
Went
So
went forward.
we was trying to. We didn't want the boat going the same speed as the current, because I was afraid when that anchor grabbed, it would pull the front of the boat under. Um, so we was trying to keep that boat, uh, you know, slowed down. We was trying to cut the current way down. So when that anchor hit, we could try to get that rope tight slow, and that sandy bottom.
Yeah,
I let out 200 yards of anchor rope, and man, it would just slide and slide. And when it would finally grab, we was already past our objective, and it didn't take any time to get past it, because as fast as that boat was moving, you didn't
yeah,
realize it until you'd look over at the bank and
yeah.
you
And you
start
seen him go
watching.
right by it. Yeah,
Right, and you're like, man, we are moving. And we was bouncing bottom, um, and we was cutting about a mile and a half off of the current. Um, and I looked over at Tony. I said, man, these fish may bite going this fast, but I don't see, unless you hit them in the mouth with it and they react real quick. I don't think they can catch that bait again. I'm not really sure, but we was moving on.
well, the fish that I caught, I was always bouncing down a ledge. The fish that I caught throughout the week, even though you're lifting, dropping, every time I'd start bouncing down a ledge, that's when I'd get bit. So, and on one rod I was using 6 ounces, and on the other rod I was using 8.
Yeah, Jerry, we've seen some spots. We went upriver about 25 miles, and there was a nest turn with some cliffs. Up in there was 108, 110 foot of water, and as the even though that S turn was trying to slow the current down, as narrow as it got, we was seeing 7.5, 8 mile per hour in the narrow. In the wide straightaways, it stayed around 5. Over closer to the bank, you could get it down to 4 and 3. But the current seams would mess the boat up, because you'd have a fast seam, slow seam, fast seam, and it was kind of make the boat, um, jumping in and out of the fast current was making the boat control was very hard to do unless you was in a consistent current. And matter of fact, going straight down the river, you would hit speed also. We would start bumping, and all of a sudden we're like, man, I can't get my weight to go as like it was a while ago. And I would look, and the trolling motor would almost have us stop, because it was able to fight the current better than it was on up the river a little bit. Then all of a sudden we would hit a spot and we would take off again. So it's just you've had to adjust all the time. You didn't know what was coming. You just had to be ready for it, and that's what made it so fun. It was so hard to fish and so challenging, and the learning curve was so great. Um, it just made it a really fun fishery to try.
Jerry Dillard, 24 ounces. I don't have that much lead in my entire boat.
Yeah, we was putting 3/8 on to get 24 ounces. We didn't have large chunks that large, just to use single sinkers.
Yeah.
Darrell and Jason's having problems getting in the show, so we're going to probably do them on a phone call interview. They can't get in. We've been having problems, and people bear with me. I'm stuck in another motel, and this one doesn't have the access.
Don't have a good Wi-Fi connection, probably. Yeah, but we we just couldn't ever get it figured out.
And
Yeah.
we'll
I mean,
get them.
about halfway through tournament day, I was really getting the hang of that bouncing then. So, that was, crunch time. We finally found parts of the current seams that were really working good for us. Found some good roller coaster bottoms, and was hoping, that the fish were going to be there. But a lot of those places were in areas that we'd already seen a lot of people go through. I'm sure they didn't bounce to the exact places we were, which would be very hard to do. But we found some very good places that I really got the hang of it, and I enjoy it, and I can't wait to do it again.
We're going to try and get Darrell and Jason in here in just a little bit. We were having problems with the internet on their end, or on my end. I'm stuck in a motel again for a day or so, and we're working to get them set up. They're having troubles with getting on the show, but as soon as we get it to where we can get them in here, we'll get them guys in here and visit with them a little bit about their success this weekend. They've done a heck of a job down there.
Yep, I knew that. I said 155 pounds. What was the total weight? Ended up being 150.
151 something, wasn't it, Doc?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Okay, so I was 4 pounds off. I said 155 is what I thought it was going to be, which
Bill was hoping for 175, isn't that what he told us, Lyle?
Yes, sir, it is.
I think
I like your hat, Doc. I didn't get mine.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. we bought hoodies. We went over there in that booth, and I seen Lynn had her arms full, and she goes, "You got some money? Pay the guy." I said, "Yeah." We had a couple of hoodies, got some hats. So
that deal with having that vendor stuff set out there in
worked out pretty good.
That was pretty nice. Yeah, I got to visit with some of the guys and that we talk to, pardon me, online all the time. With some different rod companies and stuff like that I had got to visit with. And in the end, it got a little hectic for me, and I didn't get to do all the BSing with guys that I wanted to. But we'll try to take another stab at some of that stuff at Monsters on the Ohio and see if we can't line some of that up. But Mark Farrell and Jerry Klein with Tangle with Catfish rods, they done really good in the tournament. What they get, 20th or 19th, something like that?
Yeah, I think 20th, I believe.
I don't have the list of stuff here, and like I say, I'm in a motel, so I'm kind of limited to what I have access to. But there was a lot of I can't imagine. I know that I've never been to a tournament with as much catfishing talent as what we seen last week.
Yeah, I want to know how Lukey and Klein Sr. hit that 100th boat. That was very hard to do. I tried, but my fish was a little too small.
They hit that for $1,000. That's like hitting a jackpot in a casino.
It is, man. They had one fish and they hit it. I had one fish and I missed. I tried for the small fish.
Well, we had more.
That .38
we had fish.
A .38 fish is tiny. That had to have been 3
Yeah.
inches long. I didn't get to see it.
Lynn said it just fit in the guy's hand.
I mean, he must have just reeled up and said, "Look what's on my hook," and it stuck in his eye or something, you know. I've had them like that before, you know, like they were sucking on the point of the hook, and you go to reel up, and they're just stuck there, and you don't even know they're there. They don't even move the tip of the pole. But yeah, that's got to be hard to get those suckers, man.
I can't even imagine trying to fish for, especially, I mean, you know, how they even can sit in that swift water is beyond me.
Yeah, he had to have got that one, you know, back behind a wing dike or something, I would guess.
So, but yeah, it was different.
Tried to bring my it would, that current would pull them chunks right off of there if you didn't have them. I was kind of trying to, you know, I wasn't hooking them really good because I was trying to, you know, let the bait come off if I got a hit. But that current, you know, if you tried to reel it up really fast against that current, it would pull it right off there really easy.
Chuck,
So you couldn't tell. You're like, well, did I have a hit or did it come off when I was reeling it in? So. I think Lyle's breaking up again.
River for the first time and seeing all that current. How good with it? Yeah. Chuck?
I didn't get that, Lyle. You was breaking up.
Chuck?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm kind of, like I say, this motel's got pretty poor quality internet, and I'm fading in and out a little bit. But you actually got along pretty good with that Mississippi River current, didn't you?
Yeah. After a while, we was just trying the wrong things at the wrong time. We were trying to do stuff that we wasn't capable of doing, but we was trying it anyway because we was finding fish in those spots. You know, but after we got wore out from trying those things, we went back and was doing the things that, you know, we were capable of doing, but we could never find fish in the spots. You know, they were actually out in that heavy current, related, you know, not related to any structure or anything. You know, it beat everything I ever seen. You don't see that stuff around here. You know, around here, you know, you just relate fish to structure. If you find structure, even if you don't mark fish on it, you fish that structure, and usually you have great success. Out there, I was marking fish all out through the main channel, right out the main river flat, right out in the wide open current. They were just all out in there. Was y'all marking the same things, Doc?
Yeah. Well, that and we found some that were relating. You know, I do a lot of visual, even though I like my electronics and stuff like that. I was looking for those seams that you see on the top, but the wind was just messing me up.
Yeah.
I know the one day we were out there pre-fishing, boy, you could see those seams working all the way down through there, and Lyle and Cindy had never ever seen the blues rolling. I mean, we were below a granary. He had never seen the blues roll on top of the water where they were eating them soybeans. And I mean, it wasn't one or two; it was like hundreds of them. And in fact, Lyle leaned over the one time to wash his hand, and blue come right up there, right beside him, slapped his tail down on the water, and sprayed water all over him.
Yeah, we were seeing the same thing, and you know, at first I thought it was Asian carp, and you know, I noticed the Asian carp they would pretty much porpoise, you
Yeah.
know, you know, and I got to where I was noticing, you know, that the ones rolling was, you know, the blue catfish, and the ones that would porpoise, you know, seemed to be the Asian carp. But Yeah, it was. I believe that them blues overfeeding at all depths of that river channel. I mean, I don't think you really probably didn't
Yep,
have
you're
to be
sounding good. Let me get the camera on here. I might have connection ever, but we're going to make it happen.
I hope they come in all right.
Yeah, they'll be connected just like we are, and if they have a good connection, they'll be fine. Lyle's the one with the bad connection, so
Well, I'm going to put you on.
if we do it over the phone,
A bunch of phones and internet difficulties on their end also. So you and Doc take off and see what you can find out. Maybe they'll tell you how to catch them fish they're catching.
You guys hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I can hear you. How about y'all?
Yeah, we got you. So you guys had a great day on the water.
Do what now?
I said y'all had a great day on the water.
Oh, yes. We had a really great day. That's probably our best day on the water this year by far.
Yeah. Now, what were you guys targeting?
We first started out targeting wood structure, but they wasn't necessarily right where we wanted them to be, and then basically we just kind of moved in and out of the currents, deeper water, shallow water, just tried anything different to find where they'd moved to.
Yeah.
Now the fishing was really random. We never did put together anything that
There, guys.
Yeah, they're breaking up real bad. There was a real strong connection there at first. But...
Yep.
How about, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I think what Darrell was saying is that the fish that we had found had seemed to have moved a little bit, and that there was a lot of fishing pressure that week too. And so we didn't just give up on our area. We just tried to fish at a little bit different angle, kind of moved in and out.
Were you guys upriver or downriver, Darrell?
Out all day.
Did you hear me? Were you guys upriver or downriver?
Motel.
Yeah. It's... We might have to talk to these guys next week.
Yeah, we need to do a good interview with them.
Lyle, can you hear us? Yeah, he's not even. Yep, Lyle just popped off.
Yeah. Well, what they were saying that
Boys, we're back.
Yep, we hear you. That.
Okay.
So, it just kind of locks up after just a few minutes, Lyle.
Really, this has got to be the worst internet connection I've ever dealt with in my entire life. But it is what it is. We're here, and we're going to go ahead with it.
Yeah. So maybe we can get them in here next week.
Yeah, if this doesn't work out, maybe we can get them back on here or something. But let's try it again, and people want to hear how Darrell
Oh yeah.
and Jason fit. I'll tell you what, them guys are on fire every time they go. They're in contention.
Can you hear us, guys?
Questions, boys? I'm telling you, I just can't keep the computer up. Can we try this again?
Yeah. Let's. I'll tell you what, if you want to, let's try to get it going maybe here in the middle of the week just to test it out.
That'd be perfect. Yeah.
And it's just, I apologize. Darrell and I walked in here 5 minutes before we just both got off work. 5 minutes before 7. So we were pressed for time too. But
Yeah. My mother passed hotel, and it's just god awful. And I'll get home and get on my computer there, and we'll get things set up. We'll get you back on here. Maybe, I don't know what your schedule looks like, but maybe next Monday night or something. Okay. All right. Then whenever you're ready to give it a shot, we'll try that midweek or something and see if we can make her happen. Mm-hmm. Yes, every time I contact you to get on there, it'll be a different link. Mm-hmm.
Wonder how many oxygen systems they sold after that tournament. I see a lot of people posted it.
That I don't know, but I'll find out. Okay.
Yeah, they were selling a bunch of them.
Right.
Did they test y'all's water, Doc?
Yeah, they said it wasn't very good.
Okay, which is this Darrell or Jason?
We had dropped our water level out of there, and we couldn't hardly chase them guys down. Man, they were flying all over that live well. I don't remember what she said it was.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
They went through 4 email accounts and 3 or 4 different phones to do this interview. And between what we got going on here and what's going on there, it's just not working out. We're going to test everything midweek, and they're going to join us again next Monday night.
Great.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think that'll be better.
I know there's people. I've got a bunch of questions from people that they want us to ask them and stuff like that. So.
Right, and I think that'll be a better deal because I got a real poor internet connection, and they got the video equipment, they just can't make it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, that'll work.
Make it happen. Jody Harrison done a bang-up job down there, didn't he?
Oh yeah, man, he's leading the way. I tell you that. He's he's been doing this for about 5 years now, and his live well treatment, his first aid. He's just got it. I mean, he wants every fish to be released better than when it was caught. It's his goal, and whatever he's got to do to do that, he's trying to give it a shot.
It was very well done because they had the guy right there on the corner that could drop in the stone and just turn that O2 on and give them a good jolt. But I know when we went to get our fish out of the live well, they were running back and forth. Me and Lyle were having trouble trying to chase them down.
Yeah,
And we let a bunch of the water out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You know, the water. What temperature did y'all see mostly? Around 78 degrees,
About 80.
80.
Somewhere, yeah, about 80 degree.
Well, upriver we was seeing around 78. So there was a difference. You know, 15, 20 miles upriver we was seeing around 78.
Skin temperature was about 92.
Yeah.
My arms were frying like bacon out there.
Yeah, but it was the cooler water temperatures that really helped all the live wells. It wasn't like the slower rivers at this time, which are up in the high 80s. If it would have been one of those rivers with these high temperatures, we would have had a lot more fatality rate than what we had. I don't know how many fish was lost. I didn't hear about many. I know that they had the emergency tank that they were putting some in, and they would put them in, and they'd be wide open immediately as soon as they put them in the water. So
I've never been anywhere where them guys tried so hard to take care of them fish, where they're walking around with oxygen tanks and probing it to making sure it had the right levels and stuff in it. I mean, these guys are stepping it up to the point where the rest of these tournaments are going to have to get involved to catch up with what they're trying to do to save these fish.
Right, and that's Fish Life, and that's part of the tournament services that they offer, and they also offer the the equipment to take care of your own fish. But that's what they thrive for. If they put on a tournament, their goal is 100% release, 0% fatality. They don't want any dead fish, period. And
Well,
for that to happen, you have to give the fish to them in decent condition. You can't turn them over dead and expect them to bring it back to life. So you have to do your part too. But if you get it to them in great condition, that fish is going to be better than when it was caught when they release it.
well, and the stuff that they sell,
Go ahead, Lyle.
the stuff that they sell for the fishermen, like their oxygen systems and their stones and all the products, the additives that you can put in the water and the products to keep the fish from bleeding if you have one that's other good stuff out there. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying what they got is really, really good.
Yeah, I mean the air stone that they sell, the ceramic one, the bubbles there's so many, and they are so fine bubbles. It turns clear water gray. It looks like smoke is coming up from the bottom. Um, I mean, you cannot get any more concentrated of oxygen in the water as that them stones can give. Um, then if you put them in for that oxygen through the tank instead of them just coming straight up, I mean that will be plenty. Some of the guys that have the Fish Life systems was coming through the line. It was sticking the probe down in the tank saying, you need to turn that oxygen down. They're getting too much. And they're like, we're running as low as we can on the gauge. And she says, well, I think you're able to turn it off now. So, then they are really, I think this is going to be a huge learning experience for everybody. Knowing exactly what your systems can do compared to how much water you hold, how much oxygen you need, for the temperature. It's really going. But we're going to need to hear from everybody. We need to hear from the guys that had poor oxygen levels too, not just the guys that had excellent. So everybody can learn together and know, and hopefully everybody can fine tune together and have the perfect scenario.
Yep. We're moving it up to the next level, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I just wish I was young enough to enjoy it.
He don't know what he's talking about, does he, Doc?
Man, that
Yeah, it'd be nice to know if what the min maxes are. What's a minimum that you need to run on a live well, and what's the maximum you need to run. I heard some numbers out there, 103. I heard some 50s, and I heard that lady say that 50 was good, 60 was good. She said when you start getting down below that, I don't recall what they told us ours was, but I'll tell you what, them fish were running all over that live well. We were chasing them.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even turn on oxygen, and Tony chased that little flathead all over that live well. He said, "I'm glad we didn't have oxygen on him because I'd have never been able to call him." He was all over that tank. Tony said he'd grab a hold of him, he'd shoot out of the water to the other side. But Tony Caton, he said he heard the water was a little rough at the end. To me, on our run back, there was certain sections of the river that was worse than the others. When them barges went around those corners, and when they passed each other, especially the one that was pushing, that really got bad. The wind blowing against the current, made it worse. But we would have to slow down in some points in my 3-degree hull down to 10, 15 miles per hour, and then all of a sudden we would be out of it and it would be really smooth. So it depended on the barges, the wind, and there was a lot of different scenarios that came in that made the water rough.
Yeah, when it was kind of tossing that monster cat around, it was we were rolling in some of that stuff. We had 4 and 5 footers, so
Yeah.
I'd never fished in water quite that was that rough. The boat would go down and then it'd come back up on the other side. And we seen some boats that, boy, they were taking beating coming up through there.
Yeah, at those times we would just sit idle for a minute and let it pass. But my little 1860 got in those 5 footers. I just made sure I kept the front of my boat facing from where they were coming from. You don't ever want your boat in any other position. You want to turn your boat and go at minimum speed, and you want to keep the front of that boat facing those rollers. You never want it to hit you from the back, from the side, or any other direction.
Yeah.
But I thought I would be all puckered up, but I had to make sure that I stayed level-minded. You had to feel confident, be smart, and know you got things under control, because if you panicked, it would all be over. You had to stay calm and keep level-minded. I knew going in, that 1860 was going to be, a little bit small to take out there, but I knew if I stayed smart and, ran her right and, paid close attention of everything was going on, I wasn't going to have any worries, and that was my priority, and I made it happen, and, I feel a lot better coming out of it that way.
Well, I know we came in 58th out of 184. Considering everything that was going on with Lyle and Cindy, I thought that was a pretty good finish for us. So
my goal going into it was to get into the weigh-in line, and we caught one fish and got in there, and I was happy. I got go through it. My biggest worry was Phil King was going to weigh in before I got to see him, so I made sure I was out of the water. I didn't want to get out of the water too soon, so we got to the ramp right when you were supposed to stop fishing. So we got to the ramp right at 3. And then I seen Phil coming down, so I knew I was going to get in the weighing line and be able to watch him weigh in so I could get my pictures and everything. So everything worked out just like I wanted it to. I'd have loved to did a lot better, caught better fish, but everything I said I wanted to happen happened, and I'm tickled about it.
Well, and like I say, I'm looking forward to the next one. I think some of the people that are a little bit afraid of the big water, that we've proven that if you pay attention to what you're doing, you can fish it and have as good a time as anybody. And there was a guy Doc and I watched that he didn't hit a roller right, and then there was water coming over the front of his boat. But I promise you, he won't make that mistake again.
No. We thought we were going to have to pull control, but he took a lot of water.
Yeah, he did.
There was a lot of water come over the front of that boat, and he wasn't more than 100. I don't know. He was 100 feet from us probably.
Yeah.
Who was this?
I don't know who it was.
I don't know who it was,
But
it was a white boat.
We didn't lose any boats though, did we?
No.
Somebody ran out of gasoline.
I mean,
Yes, they did. Justin Wolf, my buddy Justin, he's a really super guy, but he run out 14 miles from the ramp and called me, and we was so sure we was going to have to go get him. We filled up a gas can and got ready, and he caught Bill Parfit at the ramp, and Bill went back and got him and give him some gas and got him in, but he got rode pretty Doc, and be a while before old Justin and Adam run out of gas again.
Yeah, we seen the Coast Guard pulling somebody off a sandbar. So I think he had got called because at first we thought he was checking boats, and he come up to 3 different boats, and then he left them, and then he got to the 4th boat, and that was the boat that needed assistance. And he wasn't up on there far. It didn't take much to get him off, but they reacted quick, and the guy was right back fishing. Awesome. It didn't look like he hit it wide open. It looked like he was searching for fish. He knew it was shallow, but it came up too quick, and it was too late. He knew he wasn't between the buoys, but, a lot of the guys didn't want to fish between the buoys because of the barges. So, you had the chance getting up, and I would come up and I'd say, okay, here's 20 foot, here's 17 foot. Here's 8 foot, here's 4 foot. So whoa, hit reverse, and then it would be a foot and a half before you knew it. And this is 50 yards from the bank. So if you didn't pay attention, you could be up on them in a hurry.
Well, I know on Tuesday when Lyle and I got on the water, we got down river, and there was about a 40-foot tree that was stuck on the top of a sandbar. And we kind of kept it had water all the way around it. But on tournament day, on Saturday, that thing was high and dry, and I know that water was at least 100 yards from that tree. It had dropped that much over the week.
The other thing is the barges, out there in that current and the noise and the water going around your boat and different things. They sneak. That's exactly right, Doc. They sneak up on you. It's amazing to me how quiet them things can get down the river if you're anchored and you're watching your rods, and boop, they let out that big old horn, and they're on you before you know it. So people need to really watch that on those rivers and be safe. We never really got into any trouble, but it scared Cindy a time or two. She thought we was in trouble, but we had plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, and then we had one guy that came down through there. We were 50 yards, literally 50 yards off of the red buoy, and he got on the loudspeaker and said we were illegal. We need to get out of the channel. There was no way we were even near the channel. He had the whole river, and he came over there right alongside of us. And then as soon as he got by us, then he cut clear over to the other side. So.
Yeah, and that wasn't the channel either. You know, the channel at that point was right in the middle of the river.
Yeah, because we were fishing in like 35 foot of water.
Yeah, you know when y'all.
But we stayed out.
You know when y'all came by us and we talked to y'all down there below the granary that day. You know, we went back up in that deep hole right there where it went around that corner, and we was fishing right there in that 80 foot of water. And that, you know, that guy had to come in there and change that barge out. You know, them guys do stuff just to mess with you a lot of times. You know, they do. You know, they're saying, "Hey, we got to come in there, guys." You know, so we move out of the way, and then, you know, they didn't have to mess your fishing hole up like they did. I mean, he gunned it, and they wouldn't. He blew every fish out of that hole down there around Tunica when he got through. I mean, he revved that motor. Yeah, he didn't have to do all that. But, you know, I mean, we was catching good fish too and having fun, and all of a sudden, you know, he blew it out. We went back over there and, you know, see if we could mark some fish down there after he moved, and they wasn't nothing down there anymore. They might have come back a few minutes later, but he blew it out really good.
Well, I think they'll come back. It's just when they'll come back.
Yeah.
And maybe the ones that come back in there, maybe them are different fish. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be the same ones because, man, you got those soybeans rolling down through there wide open. All they got to do is lay down there with their mouth open. And, I mean, they're pigging out.
That's exactly right.
We was catching 5-pounders that looked like they'd been swallowing softballs. I mean, they just had them big old round bellies. You know, there ain't no way you could have pushed a tennis ball into their mouth, and their bellies were just huge, and they were solid and healthy. Yeah, they were eating good. But, you know, we just wasn't marking any big.
We seen a lot of bait today.
Yeah, we marked a lot of schools of bait, and there was always fish right there, you know, with them.
Yeah, but we wasn't, you know, we marked a bunch of unders, and you know, we seen all the guys that were going to be fishing the granaries. We knew that was going to be a field day. We knew we was going to be able to catch fish. We might even have been able to bring, you know, 5 15-pounders in, because we caught a few right there. You know, so we probably could have got a, you know, 75-pound basket easy, but, you know, you might not have been the first one there. All the other guys are wanting to fish it. We seen everybody hitting it. It's like the community holes. And, you know, we just decided, hey, we need to do something different, something of our own and take a chance. Because we didn't mark nothing big in there anyway. You know, in this tournament, it was about winning. You know, second place wouldn't have been $2,500 if it was all about the money. This was about paying number one and giving them a check. And, you know, pretty much it's like, you know, winner takes all. It was close to that. You know, there was a little money to spread out, but that $14,000 was something everybody was wanting to go after, and everybody was wanting that big fish. So, you know, it was like swinging for the fence. You know, you might go swing for the fence and end up not getting nothing, but, you know, you take that chance, boom, you know, you might could pull it off, especially if you don't know the river.
Well, that river's got fish in it, and it's not hard to fish. I mean, everybody could catch fish, but if you give it the respect, you can have a wonderful time down there. And that's about as much fish per square mile as I've ever seen.
Man, they were just everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
And good fish. we marked some really good fish, Doc.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we hadn't had the wind that we had, we would have saw a lot more fish come to the scales than what we saw. If it would have been kind of flat and calm, I think people would have gotten on a lot more fish than what, we saw brought to the scales. I don't think you would have had the people that had blanked and stuff like that, because I know I talked to the one couple from Texas. Who was that, Lyle? Was it James and Lisa? Is that his?
Yes.
Lisa Prince.
Yeah, and he was asking me about the back bounce, and I was talking to him about it, how to do it and stuff like that. He couldn't get it down, so he said he said that he was moving along. He said he marked 3 fish in a hole, so he went above, anchored down. He said they tossed the lines out. He said the second or third one, he said they started rod started going down. He said at one time he had 3 flatheads sitting in the bottom of the boat. So,
yeah.
They done really good. Lisa and
Yeah.
James haven't been fishing tournaments too awful long, and they've been put in some very respectable numbers at Monsters on the Ohio last year and up here at Mississippi River Monsters. So, they have really jumped in there and done a really good job of the last few tournaments I've seen them at.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can complain because they've got a smaller boat than just about anybody. And they were able to put fish in the boat. So
yeah,
done a bang up job. We had some great quality bait brought in down there for everybody too.
Yes, we did. Man, there was good bait. Yep.
Thought it'd have been any better, and you got to congratulate them guys for forcing the big bait company.
yes,
Big Cat Bait Company.
Big Cat Bait Company. They had some outstanding bait down there for everybody. Even the froze stuff, you cut it open, and once it thawed, it'd still bleed a little bit, and the fresh stuff was fresh. I wouldn't drive the distance it took to get bait when I could get bait of that quality for a few bucks.
yeah. You know when you cut that bait and it's that dark maroon color. It's just like when it comes out of the river. When you cut it and it's that brownish tan looking blood,
Yeah.
that is when it's bad. Somebody caught it. It sat in the bottom of the boat for 3 hours. They brought it home. 5 hours later, they probably stacked it in a cooler. The middle fish probably took about a week to freeze because of these guys that they do it right. Every fish is fresh.
That's exactly right. Well, boys, what do you say we knock it off of here, and we'll get Jason and Darrell Masingale on for us next week and try to do this. And it'll be exciting when we get them guys in here, and we'll work on getting the chat and everything set up. I just had a hell of a time here at this motel room tonight, and we'll get it all done. And you guys get your questions all lined up for them boys, because if they're where they're catching fish, how they're going about it, it's them too, because they got it going on.
Yep. So.
You got a tip for tonight, Doc?
Yeah, the only tip I got tonight is on these wire ties. I heard a lot of people saying they couldn't get their anchors to release, and when I looked at a few of them, man, they had some really heavy wire ties. Guys, if you want those zip ties to break loose, don't use as heavy a one. I mean, they're not going to break until you get over top, and you want those things to snap. But I saw some people were using were like a half-inch wide and stuff like that. As long as you got a straight line pull on those breakaway anchors, it's not a problem. It's you want that thing to break. You want it to shear when you go to pull up on it. Unfortunately, ours didn't shear. We almost lost everything on ours. That thing, I don't know what it landed on, but it was stuck in there good.
Or people will use 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, and you only need to use one. Even if you break it, then you can use another one, and but if you go too heavy, then the anchor is not going to work the way it's supposed to. And the way it's supposed to work is you shear the wire tie, and then the anchor comes up backwards and it gets out of whatever it's hung into. So, and down there, man, it could be anything.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that's Doc's tip for the night.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Doc. Anybody got any tournament stuff they want to talk about, or are we just going to wait till next week on that?
I can go over one real quick here. Rising Sun here in Indiana. I got the 2-day event. Johnson & Johnson, 196.8. That was first place.
Outstanding.
Second place, Loudermilk and Jones, 124. So there was a pretty good spread between first and second. Team Shattered Cat, 118.8. That's Vince Nadowski. I found that out just before we came on the air that that's who was in third. Petrowski, Nefis, and Petrowski, 116.4. And that same team who was in fourth place had the Big Cat, which was 69.6 pounds. So outstanding there at Ohio Valley River Cats and Rising Sun. Hopefully next year the Mississippi Monsters is on a different date. Lyle and I talked about this out on the water. We thought there could have been another 50 boats added to that tournament if they didn't coincide, but it's like George said, when Bass Pro says you need to have it on this date, there's not much you can do about it.
Exactly.
That's correct.
And I was looking at a lot of the.
Go ahead.
I was looking at a lot of the guys that were participating on Rising Sun, and they were quality fishermen that really should have been at the Mississippi River Monsters tournament. But just imagine if there was another 50 boats, man, that would have been something else.
Yeah.
Oh, before we go, one other thing, I didn't get, but like we had said earlier in the year, the payout day of tournament was considerably higher for the teams that finished second, third, fourth, and on down the line for a ways. When everything got said and done, it was a lot higher than what was posted on there, and it's a pleasant surprise. But we knew that was going to happen. A lot of people was concerned about it, but it did jump up on several of those places. They just kept adding stuff to it.
Good.
Yep. So.
You got. I don't guess so. All right. For Chuck Davison and Doc Lang, I'm Lyle Stokes, and thanks for watching Catfish Weekly. We'll see you next week with Darrell and Jason Masingale.